The following presentation examines two interesting psychology experiments, the Milgram experiment and the Marshmallow test. This presentation has been prepared by Danielle Brown and Chantal Neese. Let's start by looking at the Milgram experiment. This experiment was conducted in 1961 by Yale University psychologist Stanley Milgram. Milgram was looking to understand the justifications of World War II Nazi war criminals who claimed they were simply following orders. Consequently, he designed an experiment to look at people's likelihood to cause pain if they were asked to do so by someone in an authoritative position. He designed his experiment to consist of an actor playing a scientist who gives direction to the subject who is told to ask a person in another room questions and then administer shock punishment if the question is answered incorrectly. The subject is referred to as the teacher. Also, there includes another actor who is in a separate room. This actor purposefully answers the questions incorrectly and then pretends to be in pain with each dose of the electrical shock. This actor was called the learner.
Let me out of here. My heart's bothering me. Let me out of here. You have no right to keep me here. Let me out. Let me out of here. Let me out.
The experiment found that 2/3 of the subjects continued to administer the shock punishment to the highest level, despite the learner's cries of pain. And all of the subjects continued to administer the shocks up to 350 volts. The Milgram experiment was causal. Causal experiments investigate the effect of a variable on an outcome and looks to see if a variable can cause the outcome to change. The Milgram experiment was completed in 18 different variations. These variations included a change of location, having 2 teachers instead of 1, and having the authority figure giving directions in another room. So, were the Milgram experiments reliable and valid? And are there any other concerns associated with the experiments? An experiment is considered reliable if it yields consistent results. Milgram's findings were echoed in his many versions of the experiment, and additionally, in 2006, Jerry M. Berger replicated the experiment and found obedience rates nearly identical to Milgram's. Consequently, I found the Milgram experiments to be reliable. An experiment is considered valid if it measures what it claims to measure. Milgram's studies were standardized, and the variable being studied, whether the teachers would continue to shock the learners, was directly related to the hypothesis. Consequently, I found the experiments to be valid as well. The Milgram experiments have been considered highly controversial. There are many people who find the studies to be unethical for a variety of reasons. They did not fully inform the subjects of the nature of the study. They caused emotional stress on the participants, and some participants endured negative results after the study once they learned how they had behaved. Additionally, some have claimed that the Milgram experiments are not applicable to the original theory that derived from the Holocaust hearings. James Allward, chair of Holocaust and Genocide Studies at the Keene State College, suggests that the studies do not correspond well to the Holocaust events. Lastly, Gina Perry, an Australian psychologist, has suggested that the results of the study were skewed and that actually many more participants disobeyed the orders.
The Marshmallow test was conducted by Walter Mischel of Stanford University. He was testing the hypothesis, can deferred gratification be an indicator of future success? The theory suggests that deferred gratification as a child stays a characteristic into adulthood, which correlates to success in adulthood. The Marshmallow test utilized children aged 4 to 6, and they would place each child in a room, one at a time, where there was one marshmallow on the table. The examiner, before leaving the child in the room, would tell the child that they could eat the marshmallow right then, or if they waited 15 minutes, they would receive another marshmallow. The examiner would then leave, leaving the child alone in the room with the marshmallow. The examiner recorded how long each child could resist eating the marshmallow. Later studies were then conducted to see if the marshmallow test correlated to children's success in adulthood. Follow-up studies found that those who deferred gratification were significantly more competent and received higher SAT scores than their peers, concluding that this characteristic likely remains with the person for life. Better life outcomes resulted in adulthood for those children who waited and received the second marshmallow. This is what the marshmallow test concluded. In summary, deferred gratification equals future success. Many successes as an adult were seen, such as higher SAT scores and lower BMI. Upon analysis of the marshmallow test, it can be concluded that it is not an experiment. The original test did not randomly assign children to different groups, such as a control and experiment. All the children were placed in a room alone with the marshmallow and told that they could eat it then or wait 15 minutes and get another one. There were not different conditions presented to the children to further determine cause and effect. Based on this, causal studies have causation. This study does not have causation, it has correlation, which makes it relational. Relational investigates connections between two or more variables, and that is what this marshmallow test does. It investigates the connection between deferred gratification as a child and future adulthood success. The reliability and validity of the study is low. Reliability refers to consistency and ability to repeat results. For this test, they measured results that came from a test that did not have controlled influences and was not an actual experiment. So to produce the results again would be difficult. The University of Rochester student Celeste Kidd conducted a similar study to the marshmallow test, but her study showed that those children who do not have reliability in their life take the marshmallow right away because they do not feel the examiner is reliable to give the second marshmallow. This test, therefore, was not based on patience and deferred gratification, but on whether or not the child thought they would actually receive the second marshmallow. In conclusion, I do not think this test is reliable. Validity refers to whether a measuring device is measuring what is supposed to be measured. In this test, they were measuring if deferred gratification as a child would correlate to success as an adult. Meaning that if a child waited for the second marshmallow, then their adult life should be filled with success compared to their peers who ate the marshmallow right away. Even though the measured results were directly related to the study and produced evidence that showed the hypothesis correct, I cannot say with confidence that the measuring method measured what was supposed to be measured. I cannot say this test is valid due to this test not meeting experimental requirements. This test has variables that were not well controlled and external influences that could affect the results. Say a child had just ate, then maybe they would have waited to eat the marshmallow. But if the child was hungry, then they maybe would eat the marshmallow right away. Gratification was then influenced by hunger and not what should be measured. I cannot say with certainty that the measured results of this test provides valid results. Too many unaccounted for factors play into why a child will or will not wait for the second marshmallow, and this makes the test unreliable and not valid. To wrap up all the information you have read and heard today, we have provided a table for you to view. The table shows that Milgram's experiment is a causal experiment, reliable and valid. The marshmallow test is a relational test and is not reliable or valid. Thank you for your time. We look forward to your thoughts on our presentation and answering any questions you may have.